Hello everyone, welcome back to my studio. This is Colleen with Designs of Value Art, and today we're going to paint this rosebud. It's just a soft pink rosebud with a pretty background, and we're going to do it in water soluble oils. Cobra is the brand that I have here, and I'll show you how we use those. And it's kind of a nice simple little design. Some stamen, a stem, and some pretty little flower leaves down here. So we're going to do that. Now, this is the paper palette that I'm going to be using. And I'm going to use this for my oils as well as my acrylics. We're going to do the background in a medium value green. And then we can add in as much dark or as much light as we want in that background with oils, which is nice. But I'm going to mix my own color. I can never find the exact medium value green that I like. So we're going to mix our own. And I'm using Deco Art Americana Premium acrylics in the tubes. One of my favorites. And this is just a paper palette. It's shiny, as you'll see here. We're going to use this for the oils as well as the acrylics. And the surface I'm going to be painting on, and you can do this right on a hardboard, just this one happens to have a cradle to it, so it's a 3/4 inch cradle. It's 10 by 10, and this is a Jack Richardson, and I really like his hardboards. Works out really nice. He's even got some now in gray and kind of a tone brown, a light brown color. So that's what we're going to be doing for a surface, and I'm not going to open it up until I get the color mixed. I'm going to be using a plastic palette knife, and I'm going to put out 2 piles of paint. No, I'm not going to put them together right away until I get the color that I want. These are really nice paints. You can add water to them as you go, or if you need to. I always have paper towels cut up, and I'm going to be using a rolling brush, a little sponge rolling brush. Gives us the tooth on the hardboard that I like for oils, so it works out really well that way. I'm going to pick up the yellow first. I got a feeling we're going to need more yellow than red, blue. I'm just going to kind of smush it around. And then I am going to just go right into the blue. And I'm going to start small with the blue. I don't want a yellow olive green color. That I don't care for. I'm not an olive green person. But this works out so nice. You can tone your background with this acrylic. Now you need to make as much paint for the background as you can, because it's going to take a lot. You're going to have to almost do 2 coats. That's what I usually do, is 2 coats. And if you follow me on YouTube, you'll see that I've dropped a lot of my old oil classes on there. And I thought, well, you know, since I'm doing oils, I should probably do an oil project for you to see. So that's why we're doing this. And I'm just making more. I don't think that was a bad color or anything. I'm just making more of it, because I don't want to run out halfway through. And that sponge is going to soak up. I do always get it wet and wring it out first, right in my water bucket, because otherwise it just soaks in and soaks in and soaks in, and you never have enough acrylics made in advance. So just a tip there, get your sponge wet before you roll it onto your... Yeah, I think this is going to be a good value. So I'm going to just go ahead. Might even have to add a little bit more yellow to this, but that's okay. We can always add just a touch of water too. It won't hurt. This is really nice paint. I like this so much better out of the tube than I do out of the little jars. You can go broke buying the little jars, and they dry up, and It's a pain. So this is nice. They stay nice and moist. I'm going to just get some more of the yellow out. I knew we'd need more yellow than the blue. Again, I'm looking for a mid-value green. To me, this color that I've got right now would be more of a darker value. And you're going to be able to see me set up my palette with my water-soluble oil paints. So that works out nice. You can see me create a value scale for each of the items. We'll start out with the pink, of course, since that's going to be the major design. See, now that's, to me, is the perfect color, but I don't think there's enough of it. So I'm going to just bring all my yellow down. Palette looks like a total mess, but that's okay. And then just slowly but surely add in the blue. You always want to make sure that your colors are mixed really well together so you don't have a streaky look on your surface. You want to get everything off of your palette knife that you can. And I don't want to go any darker than this, so we're going to leave it like this. And I guess if I need to make some more for the second layer, I can. Now I am going to just get some water on my palette knife and bring it over and mix that in too, because that'll loosen it up a little bit, be a little bit easier to make it flow. What's nice about this process too, if you put a layer with your sponge roller on and you don't like the color, you can, your second layer, you can change it to whatever color you want. Now I'm going to just wipe off my palette knife as best I can, and since it's plastic I can throw it right in my water bucket. Hopefully I won't get this all over myself, which I am. There, and I just wiped it right off so it doesn't collect on my knife. Keep that right in the water as well. Wipe it off of me. There we go. Now, as I said, I want some water on my sponge. So I just dunked it right into my bucket of water I've got going on over here. And I'm going to just take my baby diaper cloth that I used for my watercolors, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to wring that out a little bit. Yep, that feels like it should be good. Now, open the plastic off of this. Yeah, I used to live about 20 miles from Jack Richardson. And I'd get over there. They always had a great after Thanksgiving Day sale. I'm not big on Black Friday sales, but this was one I absolutely could not miss. So I always got over there. So I'm going to just move my palette. It'll be out of sight like that. And I'm going to put it right down on top of my oil tubes there. And I'm just rolling my sponge through my pile of paint. Now you want to roll this until you don't see any, I'm going to show you, until you don't see any. See those little pock marks? Those are little bubbles, and you don't want that on your surface. So you want to roll this until you get most of those gone. That's another little tip for you there. I got a lot of paint on that brush. See how the little pock marks are starting to go away? That's what you want. Also, if you do end up with a few pock marks on your surface, just take, once it's dry, you can dry it with a hair dryer or whatever, before you put your next coat on, just take a piece of, what do I want to say? You go to the grocery store and you come home with a brown sack, plastic paper sack. Take a piece of that and smooth it out. Yeah, see, we still got pocks on here, but that's okay. The more I brush it on here, the smoother it'll become too. So I'm just covering up all the white. Again, it's a little more yellow than I would like, so I can tone that down when I do the next coat. But that's okay, not a biggie. This needs a touch more blue, not much, or it'll go real dark. You don't want that. So I'm just going back and picking up more paint on my sponge roller, making sure I get those edges covered. You don't want this to be dripping on your roller, or you're going to get paint right down the side drips, and you don't want that either. I'm going to paint the sides of these a different color once it's all done. Probably a darker hunter's type green. And just keep rolling. See how much smoother it's gotten already just by me going over it. You don't want to press too hard, because as you can see right there, I did move that down so you can see it. I did pick up some of the first layer of paint, and it made it look lighter. So you don't want to do that, but you do want to get that paint off your roller. Make sure it's nice and smooth. Go every which way. I'm running out of paint already, but there we go. And I got my surface right on my Lazy Susan, so I can turn it around if I need to do my painting. This is a 10 by 10 cradle, hardboard cradle. It's a nice size. You can get a lot of different things on here without doing an 11. And then I don't need a frame. I can just hang it, which is nice. It's always a plus. I got a couple of these on my wall, mostly watercolors. I just glued my watercolor paper right to the surface. And these cradles come in all different sizes. You can get them, I think, up to 2 inches and maybe even more. I personally don't go up that high, but you could if you wanted to. Looks like I'm almost going to run out of paint here a little bit. I think I'm going to get this wet just one more time with my sponge. Run that across my paper. See if I can pick up enough paint to keep going here. I think I am. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit lighter, of course, but that's okay. My second coat will take care of that. A lot of yellow in there. That's why we're getting that olive green look. Making sure I get my corners, getting rid of the bubbles as best I can, little pock marks, whatever you want to call them. The more you roll it, the more it goes away. And again, you don't need to push down real hard on this sponge rollers. They're just a little cheapy. You can pick up at almost any craft store. They'll have these. Not very expensive. But they do give you the surface that you're looking for. What happens otherwise, these hardboards are so smooth that if you don't put some kind of a surface down on top of it, your paint's going to just slip and slide, and you're going to have a real hard time blending and making your project look the way you want it to look. Let's try to pick up a little bit more paint here. Just keep on rolling. So again, this is our first layer. Now towards the end, I like to go back and forth. Got a little bit of blue in there. It's not that big a deal, since this is our first layer. Okay, now when this is drying, I'm going to show you how I set up my palette paper and how I'm going to save our choice of colors for our value scale, so I'll have it for future use. Okay, kind of a crummy coat, but it will do. I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to put my sponge right in my water bucket in my one spot. Let that dry. Bring out my picture so you can see it. And I'll show you how I save my colors. Now this is meant for watercolors, but you know what? It's going to be absolutely perfect for this too. So what should we call this? Pink RoseBud, I guess. These things are invaluable. I cannot tell you how happy I am with them because I'm saving it for future use if I really like the colors that I made. And then I always mark it as oils or watercolors or whatever it is. And then like the background color here, I'm going to put that down on the top. It's a mid-value green, and it's in acrylics. Okay, so that's what we're doing there. Let me just put this away. And I should probably write down what the colors were, right? Cadmium Yellow Hue plus Phthalo Blue. Never know how to spell phthalo. P-H-T-H. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to just take a acrylic brush here, and this is a American Painter 4000. It's an angle brush. They probably don't even make this anymore. I've had it around so long, but that's okay. Pick those colors up, those brushes up. I go to Hobby Lobby and buy a lot of my brushes for this. All right, so this is going to be our mid-value green. See, it looks better here than it did on the other surface, but it always dries a little bit different, a little bit darker. Then we got a general idea what we used for a background color. Just reloading my brush. Even here though, it's a little bit more yellow than I would like, so. It'll look really hard to find a pad of palette paper. I haven't used it in a while. that's okay. I've been doing so many watercolors. There we go. I'm going to just clean my brush. If you don't clean your acrylic brushes, the paint will dry in them, and you want to use cool water. You don't want to use warm. The paint will dry in there and ruin your brushes, so it's important to keep that one separate so I know that's the acrylic. Now I'm going to just take this palette paper and I'm going to throw it out. Wasn't hardly any paint left anyway. Use most of it right on the surface. And then I'm going to show you how I get this set up. I am going to take another sheet out for the second coat though, just so I have that separate. I got paint all over myself. Craziness. So I'm just tearing it right off, set it aside for my second layer of medium value green. So I'm going to put this away for right now. So I want to show you how I lay out my palette paper for oils. I do it the same way every single time. So, looking for my white. So this is titanium white. I always put it in the left hand corner. You can save this, you can put a cover over the top with plastic wrap if you want to, or whatever works the best for you. I just put it right, I got a freezer down here. I'm gonna put out a couple whites, color that I use a lot of. So I got my titanium white out there. Now I'm going to look, I got a couple yellows out here. Permanent Yellow Lemon. And then Primary. Okay, so this one's my lighter value, as you can see, of yellow. So I put these two next. This is Permanent Yellow Lemon. So I'm going to just go Permanent Yellow Lemon. I don't know why I did it below, but that's okay. Here's my, that's a nice light yellow. I like that. Set that one aside, set the white one aside because I've used them both. This one is Primary Yellow. And I'm marking these so I remember too what I use to make my mixes. But that's where that paper comes in handy too. If you need to, you can go back to it and look at it. See, it's darker. It's not much darker. Oh, but that's the goal when you're putting colors out. You don't want a real jump in color because your value mixes are not going to look right. All right, so we've got these three done. Set those up there. Now we got a yellow ochre. It's going to be down here. Got a burnt sienna. And I bet you I got a burnt umber in here. Yep, those are going to be down there. And now we're going to jump to red. Do we have another red out or no? Nope, we're going to go just the one red. Adding yellow or white to it will create the color that we're looking for. And again, this is the Cobra water soluble paint, so you can clean your brushes with water. I use pink soap. I use this when I'm doing watercolors as well, but it'll help clean your brushes and keep them nice. All right, so now we've got our white, light yellow, dark yellow, red, and lamp black. That's going to go over there. We're going to put our blue out. That's going to be gray. And this is ultramarine blue. And I neglected to write down the name of that one. That's okay. This is ultramarine blue, so it's UMB. And the red was Pyrrole Red. Here we go. Red, blue. Okay, so we got those colors out. I put those out in the same spot each and every time. So from white to light yellow to darker yellow to red to ultramarine blue. Now normally what I do is I put my black in the other corner, just here. Don't use a lot of black, especially in flowers, but it's always good to have it out. I do have a Paynes Gray, so this one's black. Some of these letters will probably be covered up, but that's okay. And we'll put the Paynes Gray right next to the black. Now, so we got our black in that corner. We're going to start out with the yellow ochre. We're going to go down this side of my palette. This will come in handy with some of the darker areas in the yellow family on the leaves and that type of thing. And then we're going to do burnt sienna. It's a pretty color. You can do a lot of different things with that color, especially with the leaves again. And then burnt umber. There we go. So I got my colors out on the palette. Now what we're going to do is start a value scale. And the very top of our value scale is going to be highlight. So it's H and then light. And then you're going to have the light value. And then you're going to have the medium value. I'm going to bring this down a little bit. Give myself some more space. We're going to go dark. And then very dark. The medium value that we're going to create is going to be what we call our mass tone. A mass tone is if you're looking at a yellow flower, it's the yellow color that your eye sees as that flower being. If you're doing an orange, it's the orange color that your eyes visualize that orange being. So this is our mass tone. Then we go dark and then we go very dark. So what do we want to do with that? It depends on the colors that you're using. So for example, if you were creating, oh, let's see, what do I have out that we could say we were creating? A pink flower, let's go there. So a pink flower, I'm going to start with the Pyrrole Red, but we're going to have a lot of white in it. And that's why I put out more white than the other ones. And then, but I also want it to be a warm highlight. So when you go up the value scale from medium, you go light and then highlight. The further up you go, the lighter it becomes and the warmer it becomes. Warm colors come forward. Dark colors, cool colors like blues, recede. So you want to keep that in mind as you're doing your value scale. You want to add white and then you want to be warmer. light and then be warmer. Now there's a couple different ways that you can go warmer. If you're really doing something dark, you can add yellow ochre. Otherwise you can add our light yellow. And it's usually just a pin drop of that warm yellow color. Now as you go dark, your colors are going to become darker in value. They're also going to become duller in value. So you don't want anything bright. You want to darken and cool your colors because that's what's going to make them set in the background. And then the warm colors are going to come forward. So that's what you want to think about as you start to create your value scale of your colors. Now this is a Master's Touch Hobby Lobby. It's a long, skinny blending knife, which I just love, palette knife, whatever you want to call it. And I like it being skinny because I can get in there between the values and mix my colors. So let's look at our design. Right here. So we're going to be doing our pink first, of course. So let's go ahead and mix the value scale for our pink rose. I'm going to set this right here so I can take a look at it. I'm going to start with red. And I'm just going to pick up a little bit of red and I'm going to go right into the mid value. Now there is more, what I would say, pink in this color than red for that specific rose. So I'm wiping off my brush with my paper towel, just like that. My brush, my palette knife, I'm sorry. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of pink or white to create pink. I'll get there. So we're going to do this. Now if it was too much pink, not enough red, add more red. If it's not enough white, add more white. That's what's nice about this oil value scale. You can just go up, you can go down, whatever you need to do. Now this, don't forget, is our mass tone that I'm creating. So we want it to be the color, when you look at this rose, that you have what your eye is telling you is the color to that rose. Now to me that's just a little bit too pink, too light. It needs just a touch more red. I mean, we're going to have other darker values, but we still want this mid value to be the color that we see. And you can scrape this right across your palette, pick up your colors, blend them together, mix them really well. You don't want them to be streaky. Now to me that looks a little bit more what we're looking for. I'm going to continue to blend it until I don't see any separation of white or red. Alright, let's bring that back. Yeah, that to me is better. That to me is the mid value pink that we're looking for. So we're going to call that our mid value. Now what I'm going to do is just pick up some of this, move it down by my dark, and then I'm going to pick it up and move it up by the light. But what I want to do is to save that value in my little book here, so I know how I created it and what it actually looked like when I was done. So this is my mid value, so we're going to jump over here and we're going to go highlight, light, mid value, dark, very dark. And I know you didn't see that, so I'm going to go over it again. Highlight, light, mid value, dark, very dark. So this is our mid value. And I'm going to just put it in here like this so we can see. And I'm going to just put a note on there. It was titanium white and red until we create that mid value. And I'll do that in just a moment. I just want to continue with the value scale so you can see me. So let's move up the value scale. I'm going to pick up some more white. And it's not a ton. It's just a little bit on the tip of my palette knife. And I'm going to mix that in. I'm going to separate these two. And to me that looks perfect. It's not real light in comparison, but it's not a huge jump either. So that when you blend these, it's not going to be difficult to blend them because they're just, oh, I'm getting paint on this. That's what's going on. Okay. Bummer. Okay, let me set this down right there. I'm just gonna pick up some of my paper towel and wipe this off so I don't continue trying to let you be able to see what I'm doing here. You'll get a copy of this too, by the way. It won't have the brown on it. Okay, so we got our first two colors. And I'll just do that all at one time so you can just see me do it once. All right, so we've got our light value here. So we're going to do the same thing we did with the mid value. We moved it up to the light. Now we're going to move this up to the highlight. But don't forget, as we go up, we do go lighter and we go cooler, or I'm sorry, warmer in value. I'm just wiping off my knife here. And you want to wipe your knife off before you go pick up a new color because you don't want to bring pink up to your yellow like that. So I had just a pin drop of yellow. All right. But we also need to lighten it. So we warmed it up. Now we're going to lighten it. And we don't need to go crazy as far as values between each color because again, the further you are away in values to each other, the harder your blending is going to be to make it look realistic. So as you get on your petals, when you want those colors to blend together, it'll be harder. So there we go. So we have our mid value, our highlight, or I'm sorry, our light, and then our highlight. And the highlight has a touch of yellow in it, and I mean just a touch. So now we're going to go dark. So we got our mid value. Down here in the dark. So what do we want to do to create this to go darker? I'm going to add just a touch of red and see where we're at with just a touch. It's just the tip of my palette knife to this pile. And we're going to hold it up against the resource material one more time and see. Oh, I got a touch of blue in there too, but you know what? That's okay. Because what is that going to do? It's going to cool it, and it's also going to dull it. But I think just a touch more red, not much, just like that. So I don't want it to go purple with that blue in there. So it's real close to the mid value, but it's darker and it's cooler. And that's exactly what you want for your first dark value. So let's hold this up to some of these darker value areas just to see. And I think that's going to be really, really good. I'm going to set that over there. Now I'm going to take just a little bit of this. And I know it doesn't look like I got a lot of paint out, but you are really, I'm going to take just a touch of the blue and add that in. Be amazed at how little paint you use in this style of painting. And it's going to be fun with that background too, because we're going to be able to add dark to it. We're going to be able to add lighter values to it. If we want to add in some yellow, we can. So there is some yellow, for example, in the stamen, and then down here there's some yellow, and in these leaves here there's some yellow. So it wouldn't hurt to put some yellow in that background. Yeah, see how much nicer, and I'm going to hold this up so you can see how much darker that went. So that's our very dark, that's our dark, that's our mid-tone, which is our mass tone, and then we've got light and highlight, which is our lightest value. So there we go, we've got our first value scale. I'm going to wait for that paint to dry before I do anything else to that book. And I'm going to, off camera, go ahead and do my second coat on the board, because you don't have to be bored to death watching me do that. So I'm going to just set my palette up there so I don't have to worry about getting paint everywhere. So I'm going to go off camera and go ahead and do my second coat, and then we'll be right back with you, and we'll go ahead and make sure everything's nice and dry and put our design on there. So I'll see you then.